Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming. And man, did I miss doing it last week, man. We took a break last week after...
We did.
We had the Showcase Marathon, where we did like... in 4 days, 4 podcasts on this channels, 4 podcasts on your channels, and we guested on others. And so we took a break last Thursday, but man, did I miss talking to not just you, Dutch, but also to our awesome community. So how are you doing, sir? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I explained before the show, hay fever's kicking my arse at the moment because it's like 95% pollen count over here. Very humid. And I know the Yanks like to say it's not hot over here, but trust us, when it's in Europe and in the UK, when we get 25 degrees plus, the houses are built to keep heat in, not take heat out. So it gets really warm, and we don't have anything to do about it other than just open the window, and that doesn't help. So yes, other than being really warm and full of hay fever, I'm good. I'd like to be playing more games, but I'm going to be able to enjoy that this weekend.
Nice, man. And I hope you can pull through even with the hay fever. But yeah, I feel you, man. We have like a thunderstorm coming here. They put out public warnings. Everyone should get inside, close windows, close the shutters, take everything inside from the gardens. So if for some reason I'm dropping out here, I'm letting you all know. It might be something weird with the storm coming. But so far we are good. Here. So but let me also welcome our awesome community. The chat is filling up with a lot of awesome gamers. Welcome to you guys, and welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or of course on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening. Welcome to the World of Gaming, and boy, is it going to be a fun show today because we have a lot to talk about. Whilst we have this podcast, Dutch, the FTC and Xbox and Sony hearing is going on, and so far we have gotten a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, so we will definitely chat about that. But then, of course, after the Xbox Showcase week, we had a lot of interviews with Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and others, and we got some interesting things out of that. Just earlier today, God Howard revealed a couple of more interesting things about Starfield. We will talk about that, of course. But then also there is, of course, a little price increase coming, which we definitely going to discuss. And mid-gen refresh consoles, got some updates on that. We had the Nintendo Direct, so we are definitely not running out of topics to talk about today. But first, Dutch, what have you been playing?
Yes. So the only chance I've had to play anything this week, and thankfully it is a type of game you can do that on, is Diablo.
Yes. Let me put on some gameplay here. Lovely gameplay, man.
So I've been playing some. I played some co-op campaign with a buddy, he was never into Diablo. I've converted him. He was never into Diablo. And now he's really excited to try out World Tier 3 and World Tier 4 and go up the tiers when he's finished the campaign. So, he started off not really being a big Diablo fan, and now he's been playing it like non-stop. I'm like, yes, converted.
Yeah, that's how we roll. Awesome.
Yeah. I invited him the other day to, and this was before the one that I invited you to. This is another one. It was the other week. I think it was on Monday or something. Invited him to do one of the world bosses, and he didn't know what that was. And I was like, okay. I was like, let me show you what this is. So I brought him to a world boss, and he was like, holy shit, that is insane.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never known anything like it. It's just a giant, destructive bullet sponge, and one hits people.
Yeah.
I was like, yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, and but he loves it. So I've been playing that. and then the other night, of course, invited yourself to one of the world bosses, but unfortunately, you just missed it.
I just missed it like 15 minutes or so. 15 minutes later, and I would have made it, man. Yeah, sometimes real life, man.
That's the thing, is they're never the same every day as well. They're not the same time every day. They're always slightly different times, so it's hard to navigate. But we'll get one in this weekend. We'll do a world boss and some more co-op this weekend. What about you, Boxy? What you've been up to?
Yeah, man, I've also been playing Diablo. All my gaming time goes into Diablo. So yeah, the footage you guys see here is running on Series X, of course. But I also got this little bad boy here. I got the Asus.
I'm not jealous at all.
No.
I am not jealous at all.
No. I got the Asus ROG Ally, man. And it is awesome, dude. It is like an Xbox.
An adult Switch.
Yes, an adult Switch. The Xbox, my Xbox handheld. That's basically it, and Steam, and of course Battle.net and everything. It is. So I just got it yesterday. So yesterday I was like installing updates. Honestly, that was more than I thought it would be. You start out installing the Windows update, and you have to do the Asus update, and you have to do a BIOS update, and you have to do another Asus update, and then another Windows update. But when you finally get to run it and download all the games, it is fantastic, man. So first impression is really the screen is awesome. It really... The colors are popping, super sharp, crisp image, 1080p on 7-inch, looks like beautiful, man. It has 120 hertz also, which is butter smooth. For a handheld on this size, it is fantastic. Although I must say, with one press of a button, you can switch to 60 hertz, and that saves you a lot of battery time. And you definitely want to save some battery if you do actual handheld gaming on the go. So, and it still runs and plays well at 60. So I tried out Diablo. A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun on the Ally. I also jumped into Cyberpunk, which, boy, does it look good. It does run very well at around 60 FPS at medium settings with some good effects on. And with that small screen, it really looks incredibly good, man. It really does look fantastic, phenomenal. I also tried out Outer Worlds. A lot of fun, butter smooth at 60. A lot of games actually run at medium settings, and that game also ran at medium settings. Diablo is also running at medium, and some things even at high at 60. Very stable. On the Ally. So, and I tried out Planet of Lana. I wanted to check out a little indie, how those play. Fantastic, man. So far, I'm in love with it, but of course, I'm still in the honeymoon phase, man. A day after new tech, you're always like, super excited about everything. So let me give this bad boy a try for the next week, and I will let you know my more intense thoughts next week. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so other than that, again, I've been also playing a lot of Diablo, and we definitely want to hear from everyone in the chat what you guys have been playing. Let us know. Drop your games of the week in the chat. We always like to give inspiration to this community. So what to play, and you guys usually play a lot of good stuff here. So... yeah, man, Dutch, whilst we talk about, whilst we are streaming here right now, the FTC is going, or the big hearing, the court case, it's court case day, it's going like till, I think, 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. Tonight, so German time, I don't know what what's that in US time, but so far I am tracking
it as we speak, and there's a lot of news coming out consistently, including when the next consoles are coming out. Microsoft have already stipulated when that's going to be.
So let us know, man.
So the Microsoft expects the next Xbox and PlayStation 6 to launch in 2028.
Yeah,
5
that's
years.
what we all thought, right? I mean,
Yeah.
makes sense. 8-year cycle, you know.
Yeah.
But nice. So they earlier opened the FTC case by defending themselves and claiming that they lost the console wars ever since they started in 21. The quote was, Xbox consoles have consistently ranked third of 3 behind PlayStation and Nintendo in sales. In 2021, Xbox had a share of 16%, while Nintendo and PlayStation had shares of redacted and redacted, respectively. So, likewise for other console revenues and shares of console currently in use by gamers, the install base, Xbox trails with 21%, while PlayStation and Nintendo have shares of redacted numbers. We also learned that Jim Ryan wrote an email in January 2022 saying, it's not an Xbox exclusivity play at all. I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come. I'm not complacent and I'd rather this hadn't happened, but we'll be okay, more than okay. So that help me out here. Didn't we hear for the most part of the last 18 months slightly, but just slightly different?
It would put them out of business. It would cripple them. They couldn't survive without Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It would be terrible. It would be, they couldn't fund their own games.
No.
The worst
Game
thing
over for them.
Ever. Game over.
Game over, basically. So, I don't know. It doesn't look good,
Jim
man.
Ryan strikes again.
Flying dance moves. Jim Ryan is...
Yeah.
That guy, dude. I don't know. I want the old days back, you know. Yeah. He's just such a tool.
I would say get Sean back, but Sean clearly didn't leave in good terms.
Yeah, clearly, obviously, there must have been some real power struggles within Sony.
Mm-hmm.
It's no doubt. So, but yeah, you know, Sean was the one who made the PlayStation end of 3 and beginning of 4, and for the most part, the PlayStation 4 era, what it was with all those games. That's what he started, you know, the Ghost of Tsushima's and so on. Those were the things that he put in place. And now, a couple of years into the Jim Ryan era, we see where PlayStation is moving with all the games as a service titles and things like straight out lies to the public, not just in the ABK deal, but remember, we believe in generations and the SSD and everything, you know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that guy.
Every time I see something from the FTC right now, it makes me want to put my head through a brick wall.
Yeah.
The FTC have just asked Pete Hines if Redfall is similar to Call of Duty.
Okay. I see. They have the real experts in that hearing, right?
They also mentioned before, Boxy, that they don't know how much a PC costs, and that they think a PC costs around 600.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, okay. No, it doesn't. So they don't know how much a PC costs.
I mean,
they don't know anything about cloud gaming. They don't know what Redfall is or whether or not it's similar to Call of Duty. They are
ridiculous.
Really badly prepared.
Like, seriously, how can you go to court with such expert knowledge? You know, I don't know. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. Listen, we also learned that Indiana Jones is going to be exclusive to Xbox. Pete Hines confirmed that. Well,
yes.
Being
it's to add to it, by the way, further details. It was originally multiplat when, as per the agreement with Disney, once Microsoft acquired Bethesda ZeniMax, they amended the contract with Disney for only Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
So yes, it is.
It is
100% exclusive.
Absolutely. I mean, we thought it would be, right?
We knew it would be, yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't a game that was announced for any platform at that point.
No.
Whether or not it was in production or originally planned to be produced for other platforms is irrelevant, because nobody was aware of that and would have been aware of that to the general public had this not been aired anyway. It was the same with Starfield. It was never announced for any platform, so when it was eventually out, you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. No contracts have been in place. Yeah, I always try when I, take a drink or something to mute myself, and then I always forget to turn it on. But yeah, man, let me briefly shout out Chaos Might, who sends in a super channel member chat. He says, I love your content. The FTC is making a fool out of themselves. Can't wait for this deal to close soon. Yeah, Dutch, he's absolutely right. They are making a fool out of themselves. And I think I would be honestly...
Add this as well. Add something to this, which was quite hilarious. It shouldn't affect proceedings, but the judge's son works for Microsoft.
Oh no.
Which she stipulated when she went into the court. So just to remind everybody, my son does work for Microsoft. Just a heads up.
Pyromat sends in a £2 super chat. It says, please use his full name, Chimokyo C. Ryan. Yeah. I mean, seriously, I would be so surprised if this isn't a clear win for Microsoft, this court case. So what do you think happens if I don't know exactly when the judge will make the decision, but I expect that to be rather soon. So let's say the FTC loses. What do you think Microsoft's gonna do? Are they just moving forward regardless of the CMA still pending?
Oh, they'll just get the go ahead. No, I think they'll do things the right way for the CMA, like they are the FTC. They'll take it to the tribunal with CAT. They'll go through the correct measures and they'll do it that way. And I fully expect it to go through the FTC and federal thing over there. Fine, that'll eventually get signed off in America. I don't see an issue there because they're completely incapable for the FTC. They've got no case.
Yeah.
So I don't see an issue there. And I don't think Microsoft will do any extreme measures until CAT or the CMA completely rule it out.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, then they may take extreme measures. But I doubt we'll see that now. I think they'll just go through the regular proceedings. They'll go through the full CAT process. They'll put the claim to them and they'll get it done. But and CAT doesn't want to extend it either. They want it done relatively quickly. So by the end of July, we should have a notification on that one.
Yeah. Normally I would agree with you, but the one thing I can not really put a finger onto is they have to renegotiate the price if the deal doesn't close till
by a certain point in July.
Yeah, but I think it's mid of July something.
Yeah. They don't have to. They don't have to opt to renegotiate. It's up to them whether or not they choose to renegotiate the terms.
Yeah,
it's an option. They may just.
To me, it sounded differently because it has to do with like the money lying there doing nothing and the shareholders. The
agreed share price, yeah.
Yeah,
they can agree to extend it with prior notification, so they can extend it by a couple of weeks / a month. But then they would have to renegotiate. But they can't put a marginal. If they're confident that within a time scale they can get that done, given an extra 2 weeks or so, then they'll just extend it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We also learned earlier that apparently it could be really, really, really dangerous for PlayStation or Nintendo if Xbox would make a really cool cosmetic exclusive to a certain game that they own. What do you think about that?
What was that for? Sorry.
Earlier, the FTC asked or claimed what would happen if Xbox made a really cool cosmetic, something really cool, exclusive.
That was another one I forgot about. That was something. Yeah, it's like, are you like blind, FTC? Are you absolutely blind or what? Like, if Sony completely misled you to the point where you think only Xbox can do this, or I hope to God, because I haven't seen the response to that yet, but I hope to God that Microsoft literally went, here are 50 plus examples of Sony having limited edition, Sony only skins, microtransactions, levels, maps, early access, etc. for all of these games that were multi-plat, and these had exclusive content just for Sony. Are you telling me that that isn't already happening, FTC? It is? Okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
Case closed, see you later. And that's what it is all the way through so far. They're bringing up really idiotic points.
Yes.
It's like trying to ask your grandmother about a video game at this point. And you're sitting there going, I've just got to remember that she doesn't know computers. I've just got to remember that she doesn't know computers. I've got to be really patient. And that's what it feels like right now. It's like trying to talk to a really elderly parent about what technology is and how the market is from a regulator that should have done the due diligence on the market before making any decisions. It shows their complete lack of any form of preparedness.
Yeah, I agree, man.
From top to bottom.
Totally agree. It's ridiculous. So listen, man, I think during the show we will probably get one or the other news bit. Apparently Sarah Bond is now in the stand. So guys, keep us up to date in the chat, and we will definitely come back to this during this show. But let's talk for a minute about something else. I mean, Xbox Showcase is over. Good week, 10 days in between the showcase and today's podcast, man. So how are you still feeling about the Xbox Showcase or the showcase season in general?
Yeah, I haven't the Xbox One specifically. I haven't budged. I still firmly think it's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
a huge step up from what we had last time. I'm really happy that they ditched the 12-month thing. That doesn't work. It didn't, and we said this. We said it after the last show. It doesn't work. Thankfully, they listened to the fans. After the fans said, "Listen, it doesn't work," they took that on board and they shifted to a point where we saw what's coming next year, what's coming after that, what's coming in between. So we got a good mixed bag, which is what people want to see. They want to be excited for the next big thing, but they also want to know what's coming soon and what's coming now. So we got now with a Sea of Thieves add-on. We got what's coming soon with things like Persona and these new Capcom titles. Then we got what's coming next in Avowed and Hellblade. Then what's coming in the future with Clockwork and Fable and Midnight. So it was a good mixture of everything, and that's what I loved about it. That's exactly the way it should have been, and that's how it was. So it was great. It was a good show. There was a few things. No show is perfect. I would never give a show a 10 out of 10. As I've always said, a couple of years back, 2021, that was as close to a full 10 out of 10 as it could be. I think I give it a 9.5. And that's because there is always things to be improved upon. And having made my own show, I know that it can always be better. Something can always be better. And for them, it was a case of certain things personally needs to change. I still don't think having updates to your live service games on a major showcase is beneficial. Maybe do a little sizzle trailer of them both back to back, but they were both far too long-winded for what needed to be on a full showcase. Considering they did these deep dives afterwards in the extended showcase, we didn't need to see them again on the main one. And naturally, like everybody else, we really want to see full gameplay for Hellblade and not just these story moments.
I mean, that has been a big criticism in the community I've seen.
And I don't want to spoil these story elements in Hellblade now. And I feel like the more they see it, the more they take away from these story elements that we're going to see in the game. I want to see more just the combat and the actual physical gameplay. Leave the story stuff to when we get our hands on it and we can experience these things properly.
Yeah, I do agree. I've seen a lot of people that saying, well, Hellblade's just going to be in like an interactive movie, things like that. I don't know if people have played the first one that claimed these things, because let's be real, there was a lot of combat in that game. There were riddles in there. It was an action adventure through and through, a psychological horror action adventure, if you want to say so. So there's no reason to believe that this is going to be any different. But in fact, I also wonder why they chose to show Hellblade again like that, because we have been getting like the cinematic cutscene-like parts of gameplay, and everyone's excited about the combat. But I still think that they might have like a Hellblade Direct a little later this year. And I think that would be absolutely fantastic. You don't want to do that right now before Starfield, because obviously Starfield was their star of the show, and you don't want to take too much away by showing the amazing looking Hellblade with its combat and everything. And then just do like 2 months after Starfield comes out a Xbox Direct and announce the release date for Hellblade in February or something. That would be pretty awesome. So there was also like the controversy about the Fable girl. We've seen that, man. Apparently she's not pretty enough, man, and I don't know why every female character in a video game needs to look like they can.
The funniest thing is the same people that say these characters aren't pretty enough design the most outrageously ugly characters to play online with.
Yeah.
Like when you see them all in these like multiplayer games and they make like some guy with a really huge nose and giant ears and like a massive torso and tiny legs. These are the people that are complaining that she's dead ugly, or the same people that create these obscenely weird-looking alien creatures.
Yeah, I agree,
it
man.
Matter.
and not every character needs to look like they can masturbate to, right? I think this is absolutely ridiculous. The game itself looked absolutely amazing. I've said this also on your podcast, Dirge, that I did not expect them to show Fable in that kind of way. I thought it is more like in-engine flyovers of Albion or things like that.
Yeah.
But to actually show like characters, to show like voice acting, to emphasize, okay, we're back for the humor. And I mean, yes, we all want to see continued gameplay. Of course we do. But there were snippets of gameplay in there, and it's more than I expected. So I'm happy with the presentation of Fable.
But it played out nearly what I thought it was going to do. I did say it was going to go from an in-engine to an in-game, and you wouldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we got. It got to the point where people were going, that wasn't gameplay.
Yeah.
And every developer was like, it was. That's exactly how the game is and looks. That is in-game. And including the gameplay clips. That was like, you can't tell the difference because there isn't a HUD. But because there isn't a HUD, it looks just identical.
Yeah.
But I agree. Wasn't as much gameplay as we'd like from it. We would love to see extended.
Of course. But
the one thing that I wanted to see from Fable, you of course you expected that, but the one thing I wanted to see from Fable, personally, was just how well they did the characters. how good the characters looked, how well designed they were, because that was the only. That's literally the only thing everyone was kind of, oh, how are they going to do this? Because they've never designed people before, and the people that have done in Forza Horizon looked terrible.
Yeah.
So how are they going to do this? And that just shows that they've got hyper realistic looking people that look identical to what the actual people look like in real life. So hats off to them. They've done an amazing job there. I know they're going to knock it out of the park with the visuals, as we've seen, not only there, but in general. We know Playground are absolutely top notch. But I also know from a performance perspective, Playground games don't play around either. That's a powerful engine. And that game will be one of the most highly optimized games on PC and Xbox when it releases.
I have no doubt about that. Absolutely, man. Like you said, we know that Playground can nail landscapes. They can nail lush forests. They can nail those the environments. That's where they excel. But how can they do dialogue, do mission design, do characters? And we've seen not everything, but we've seen a lot, and we know where they're going with the art style now. So I'm more than happy, man. A lot of people also were not happy with Avowed, dude. For some reason. I have no idea why. I thought it looked really cool. Was it different than what I expected? Yes. After, of course, the CGI trailer, everyone expected the game to look a little bit darker, more grittier. I don't know. But Obsidian games have always been pretty colorful, right? And we've only seen minor snippets. And actually, the Obsidian came out this week, earlier this week, and this is through Windows Central. They put up the article, and Obsidian even felt the need to comment. And let me read what Obsidian had to say about the visuals and the scope of the game after the fan reaction. The trailer fails to show much in its 2-minute runtime. To clear up misconceptions, though, I'll say the game is big and open. It is unfair to compare it to Outer Worlds. I think Fergus is to compare it to Outer Worlds, which I think is nothing alike. The studio that did the trailer did some compression of colors and image editing. The screenshots that have been released are much more representative of what it looks like just running through it. They also appear to be totally random shots from the game. I'm not sure why these were chosen out of all the things, probably to keep spoilers at a minimum. A lot of the game... pardon me, that was the comment from Jess Gordon. A lot of the game is being kept hidden right now. I think you will have to wait until the next trailer or some sort of presentation to really see it, but it is safe to assume it is very Obsidian. No, the entire game isn't all bright and happy town. No, it is not all indistinct visually. There are a lot of characters, quests, conversations, various game mechanics, big stories, etc. Development is going well right now. Microsoft is allowing us to free license to do as they will, and if it is success or fails, it'll be on Obsidian's own terms. So, man, it is like I said. Have you played Fallout New Vegas?
Yep.
You obviously played Outer Worlds, so
yep, loved it.
Yes, the Obsidian can go from really colorful to dark and gritty, and the world of Eora. Trust me, I played them all. The Pillars games is everything else but a happy place. Everything else but a happy place. So, what do you make of this, man? This Avowed controversy.
Yeah, I said it when I first seen it. This game is slated for 2024. The trailer was originally put together at the beginning of the year, so it's already 6 months outdated anyway, minimum, in terms of what it visually looks like. But by the time it releases, it would have had another year. And if we have a look at the way Starfield presented last year versus how Starfield presented this year, visually, it's night and day difference. Night and day difference. So I think people are jumping ahead of themselves. A lot of people cry when they get gameplay, or cry when they don't get gameplay, and then when gameplay is shown, it's not good enough, even though the game is slated for another year's time. It's like you should have learned by now that games in the last section of development is the polishing phase. The whole essentially a year leading up to its release is just polish.
Yeah.
Just getting bugs out, tidying things up, and making the textures pop, all the details go in, and then making sure it runs fine with all of that extra fidelity included.
Yeah.
Essentially, before that, it's kind of just work in progress, which it is. It's work in progress. So, no, the key thing that I wanted to see was how the game looks from a gameplay perspective. That's what the feel I got from it immediately was this is just Obsidian Skyrim, and I'm all here for it. So, can't wait. Very colourful, which again reminded me of Outer Worlds. Love it. But I also don't for a moment think that there won't be dark and gritty parts of this world.
Yeah,
because we saw very contrasting areas. At the very beginning of the clip, we saw this very more realistic countryside, green open space.
Yeah.
And then we went into this very vibrant, mushroom-filled area, which was more fantastical and fantasy.
Yeah.
So I think throughout the map, there's going to be some realistic places and there's going to be some more fantasy places, and that's Ayora. The different biomes are going to have different feels to them. So I think there's very much going to be areas that are going to be hyper-realistic or close to being looking realistic. And then there's others that are going to look out of this world and more fantastic. So, yeah, I've got no concerns for it at all. I think it looked tremendous, and it's I'm really looking forward to playing it. I am super excited to know that it's only a 25 to 35 hour game
experience. Yes.
Beautiful.
See, I don't need them to really copy Skyrim per se. You know, I'm fine with a different art style. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm fine with the length that was Outer World. That is perfect. We have so many games to play. Not every game needs to be like 100-hour plus game.
Yep.
And I'd rather have proper storytelling, you know, deep RPG mechanics, and that's where Obsidian always excels. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to Avowed. I cannot wait to see more about the game. When do you think it will come out? 24, they said, beginning, end. Where do you slate it?
Originally, I was saying it was going to hit Q1 24, but with that developer saying that the game was in alpha beta starting section there, I'm thinking this is more closely. It could end up being the one that falls into Q3 24.
Yeah.
With Hellblade potentially being further along, they just haven't shown loads of it yet. Falling in Q1.
I sure hope that Hellblade is Q1.
Unless it's something dropping earlier that we're not aware of, and they have mentioned that. We'll get into it in a bit. That releases before Hellblade at the start. We know there's 3 games already slated for next year. We've got Hellblade, Avowed, and Towerborn.
Yeah.
They're not including Flight Sim. Good news. That's not one of the 4. Which means there's at least one more that they haven't spoke about that is releasing next year. So it could end up being maybe that new game that we're unaware of first, Q1, Hellblade Q2, Avowed Q3, Towerborn Q4, or maybe Avowed Q4, Towerborn Q3.
I think one of the Bethesda.
I think potentially one. Yeah,
one of the Bethesda games is gonna either the It game, the Machine game. I don't know. Something from Bethesda. Maybe. What is this? Tango Gameworks. Who knows? I think they will have something from the Bethesda roster as well in there. Phil Spencer earlier this week said in an interview with The Guardian also something about Halo not being there. He said.
Good.
Good. Yeah, no, he did not say that. Dude. You're pissing off the Halo fans again. He said, I wouldn't say Halo is of lesser importance, but we have over 20 studios now. I'll go back to the years where we had basically 4 games: Fable, Forza, Halo, Gears, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We have a lot more games now. We've been pretty public about the leadership change at 343. You can kind of see that in some of the social things the team have been doing around seasons, but I don't want to force them to talk about their longer term vision until they are ready. I think you'll see some pretty cool things coming. I mean, he's absolutely right. They have so many studios now, 23 studios, even without ABK making games, some of them multiple games at the same time. So they have around about 30 games plus minus in the making. And it is time to rest a little bit on Halo and Forza, and Gear and even Gears. Although I want to see Gears 6, man. I most certainly want to see. They can keep Gears, man, and just put Forza and especially Halo. Give them a break. Let them redefine what Halo is going to be. And focus on some of the other amazing IPs that are now under Xbox. So what do you think, man?
I believe it when I see it from anything to do with Halo. I believe it when I see it. I'm not going to get hyped for what they're potentially working on because they've yet to produce anything. The game feels great to play, don't get us wrong. It is one of the best playing Halos that they've ever made. Factual. But the content wasn't there, and the story ended relatively abruptly, and then they've never continued it. So I'll believe any positive news on Halo when we get our hands on it. But until that point, I'm glad to not be speaking about Halo or seeing Halo until that is absolutely ready. There's plenty better things to be playing right now, and I'm looking forward to new IPs taking over. I'm glad we're having a break from Gears and Halo. I'm glad we've had a minor break from Forza Motorsport until we're getting the new one this year. So I'm glad we're going to be playing an Avowed and Hellblade 2 and South of Midnight and like a new id game and Indiana Jones and Starfield and like all these big IPs. You're muted again.
Oh, yeah. Indiana Jones, the new Xbox exclusive,
Yes.
Like we learned earlier. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So it's I'm glad new IPs are given time to shine and do their own thing. I'm glad about that. Xbox was started on Halo, and it was great for them to be that poster boy at the start. But all companies evolve. You never forget where you started. You never forget what helped you start. But the reason Sony is where it is because it doesn't rely on one singular IP to be big. It creates new poster boy IPs pretty much every generation. You've seen that with Horizon and Aloy. As much as I think Aloy is a boring character, a lot of people do, it's still a big character there now. And you have a look at Kratos and God of War, how big a character he's become. And Nathan Drake has become a movie star. And then you have a look at The Last of Us and Ellie and Joel being poster boys and poster girls. And like, it's just consistent. And then Jin, of course, from Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know how that isn't a fully fledged poster boy yet, but that's what Sony are doing, and this is where Xbox should be going forwards. Of course, we've got Marcus Phoenix, which personally I think stands a little bit above Master Chief right now.
Yeah.
But Phoenix won't last forever either because he's getting old, and he's getting old in the games, so they're going to have to move on at some point.
I think Gear 6 is going to be the last game where we will see him. I mean, they have to bring that that trilogy to an end. And of
Yeah,
course,
they are. Yeah.
of course, after the ending of Gears 5, he's definitely going to play a bigger part again in Gears 6. But yeah, in terms of mascots, you're right. They have so many potentials now. You
Yeah.
know?
A load. They've got, again, you could easily make Fable a mascot again. Quite easily.
Most
The work
certainly.
that Playground are doing, you could easily make that a mascot.
Yeah.
You could easily make Hellblade a mascot, Senua.
Yeah.
Quite easily.
Join a
You could
dog.
easily. Do you want? Yeah, Join a Dark. You could bring that easily back again. Like they've got so many. Then you have a look at South of Midnight, and that lead character from that. If that does really well, that could be another staple IP there. And it depends. Then we've seen Hi-Fi Rush and that character,
Yeah.
and automatically we were just like, look at that. Like in terms of an animated character, a cell shaded character, that automatically said to us that's a poster child. Like that is specifically in like likes of Japan and stuff as well. That is like you stick that everywhere. That's something that you want to have.
Absolutely. I think also Starfield is gonna be like a mascot title for them. No doubt. No doubt. By the way, we got some interesting news about Starfield today.
We did. There's no fishing.
There's no fishing in it. Hey, facts.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted to talk about. Although you're right.
That wasn't the news.
That was not the news. That was not the news. So earlier, God Howard, the man, the myth, the legend, was on Kind of Funny's Xcast. Didn't have the chance to watch it fully just yet, but apparently he revealed that. Let me read. Pardon me, a quote that I found on WCCF Tech from the interview. No, we do design. Hang on, where does it start? Yeah, right. Was asked about having land vehicles and fishing. Yeah, so he said, no, we do design it. I'm sure you've seen this with our other games where we want to design it so it feels good on foot, but we do have the boost pack. We saw some of that in the video, and you have skills for the boost pack, so the boost pack almost acts like this vehicle where you can fly through. It's super fun, and then the low gravity planets are just really, really something special in the game. And I thought it is a great question. Of all the things that are included in Starfield, apparently land vehicles are not. What do you think about this, man?
I don't mind considering they explained why. They said the jetpack is pretty quick, so you don't need one, which is literally the only reason they've said.
Yeah,
you've got a jetpack, so you don't need one. Probably would have been nice because I've found moments when I've been playing No Man's Sky. Again, people don't want to compare it, but when you're traversing around No Man's Sky by foot or even with a jetpack, as much as it's relatively quick with a jetpack, it's still nowhere near as quick as if it was by vehicle. So I would have definitely preferred to have a vehicle. It's not the end of the world, though. It's not the end of the world.
Not even close. Place a bet right here. The modding community will take care of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, easy. Yeah. Wouldn't even take them that long. Probably take them about half an hour.
Yeah. day after the Starfield launch, there it is.
Yep.
The Moon Rover mod pack or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't think it's an issue. See, those are the kind of game design choices. If you would design a game to have that kind of things, you would have to design the worlds completely different. And even though you can apparently explore the entire surface of all the planets and everything, the planets that have curated content on there are definitely designed in a certain way. and you would have to change that completely. So I fully trust them. If they think it's the right decision, I do trust them, because everything we've seen so far from Starfield, man, looks just so incredible. I watched the Starfield Direct like 3 times now. Of course, also watched the Digital Foundry tech analysis and a couple of other analysis videos. What did stuck with you with Starfield, man? I know you're super excited for it.
What didn't stick? There was just so much. The thing is with that is, I have watched it like, I'm losing track now. I think I've watched it about 4 or 5 times. The deep dive to try and kind of take everything in, because there's a lot of information that come off the back of it. But the combat looks absolutely phenomenal. I think the combat actually looks really good, much better than Fallout or any of the previous tries that Bethesda have done when it comes to gunplay.
Yeah,
it looks head and shoulders above that, and you can tell they've had help with the combat. Looks really satisfying.
Although Todd Howard said in an interview, I can't remember with whom, but I remember Todd Howard saying they didn't have help with the combat. It did not help out them with the combat. They did help them out, though, with some of the rendering and technical things of the game.
Well, if that's just off their own back, then hats off.
Yeah. It looked really punchy, impactful. Yeah.
It looks like it had impact on that. I don't know whether or not that's a little Todd Howard white lie there. But it looks like it's improved. But the one thing I like about the combat as well is how what is happening on screen in terms of combat affects the surrounding areas. So in the background that people wouldn't have noticed, there was a little section where there was 2 guys that you were shooting when you enter a room, and in the background there's a boxing bag. And when you're shooting at people and there's obviously explosions going off in the room, the boxing bag starts swaying side to side with the explosions. It's having these little knock-on effects in the room and the environment. So it's got impact and it's got purpose to it. I like the obviously the landscapes, the biomes, the views look absolutely phenomenal. I'm so glad they've got photo mode day 1 on that game. The exploration's awesome. The shipbuilding's awesome. The fact that you can hijack ships and take them as your own, or you can board ships and hijack them that way.
I love that, man. I'm gonna hijack so many ships. It's like it has dogfighting, it has ship customization. It is. What are you gonna do more?
I'm not going to spend loads of time doing base building. Like, I'm going to build the most basic bases in the maps. But shipbuilding, on the other hand, is another story.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to be modifying. I'm going to get all of the add-ons. I'm going to get all the equipment I can unlock. I'm going to research everything I can for my ship. I'm going to build the most badass ship I can possibly make. I'm going to try and replicate the Event Horizon. So,
nice.
It might be difficult.
I'm thinking about doing the Normandy, for Mass Effect. So, but I do agree, man.
I think you've got more chance than me of making the Normandy than the Event Horizon. If people remember what the Event Horizon looks like, it's one long tube with a cabin at the front, and then the huge essentially the black matter engine. Would you call it some form of propulsion room at the back of the ship, and that's it. So it's going to be. It wouldn't be easy to make it, but I'll give it a try.
I know you will succeed to some degree, at least. But man, I do fully agree. Like, ship customization, the base building is fine as long as it does the trick. For me to gather resources, because that's what those bases will do. Yeah, they will automatically generate and mine for resources. And yes, I see RWK88 in the chat. He says, I'm calling my ship the Milky Way.
Oh dear me! I'm also laughing at the FTC stuff in the background.
What happened? What happened before we get back to Starfield? Give us an update, man.
Sarah Bond's explaining how Xbox Game Pass works to the judge, and the judge was like, "Oh, so I don't have to spend $70. I can just play it." It's like, "Yep." It's like, sounds like they've got another subscriber.
When do I sign up? And she's like handing out the gift cards. No.
Yeah, there's a gift card. There's a 1 month trial.
The 1 month trial. Yeah, it comes with every box. Oh man, this FTC case. Good lord. It's so ridiculous that they actually make. You know what? How much money they must be spending for that? It's all tax money. I mean, I couldn't care less per se, because not a U.S. citizen, but this must cost so much money, which is so obviously just thrown in the garbage because the FTC did not do the basics of their job, and just agenda driven, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pyromat sends in a £5 super chat, man. Thank you so much for the support. He says, Bethesda games don't launch with bugs. They create unintended features like the Skyrim restoration glitch, duplication, etc. Yeah. I like that way of thinking. I mean, Dutch, we've said this. This is probably going to be the most polished Bethesda launch ever. And if it's too polished, you know that it will take like a day or so until the first bug mod comes out, and people will bring back the Bethesda kind of style. But yeah, man, that Starfield, I cannot wait. You know what surprised me, and I didn't realize that until I watched it the second time, the Starfield, or the third time, how incredibly detailed the texture book is. Even with YouTube compression, you can really tell that some very, very high quality textures. And when you watch the second time, or even the third time, you start to pay attention to other things than the main thing happening, like in the action sequences. You start to look in the backgrounds, like you said, with your boxing sack moving around or whatnot. And there are so many little details going on simultaneously on screen, and that's the thing about all Bethesda games. Every object is interactive, and you just shooting up the room leaves a mark, and that will stay that way in that game. And it is just phenomenal, the scope, the level of detail that they put in, and not just in terms of the visuals, which are really, really good, better than I thought, honestly, after the showing last year. But like the interaction, the physics, even the movement of the character, man. I'm really tempted to play this in third person, and I've never played the Bethesda. You could play Skyrim in third person, but it looked like crap because the game was just designed to be played first person. But this one kind of really looks good in third person. What are you gonna play? Both.
I'm playing both.
Back
I'm
and
play
forth.
third. Yeah, I'm going to do third person for any exploration. Third person, dotting about, floating around the atmospheres. And then when I go straight into a combat scenario or indoors, it's going to be first person.
Interesting. I know it's probably only going to be a tap of a button to switch in between first and third person.
It's literally just clicking the thumbstick in.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna be too lazy for that.
Do you know, I don't know. It works exactly the same way. You've obviously played Forza Horizon. Do you know how you can change the view?
I know.
And it goes far, because what I've seen on there wasn't a case of just third person either. It looked like you had third person like far back, so it kind of got more of the scenery in third person close up, and then first person. So you had kind of different versions of each as well, which is good. So it gives people a little bit of that. They've also got an FOV slider in there. So even better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Cannot wait to play this on the Rock Ally, man. Actually, when you know what sucks, Dutch? This year, my two most anticipated. I have 2 weeks of vacation. I had 1 week. Well, it was 9 days. Okay, it was 9 days. 9 days planned in June. And whilst I was in France with the wife and kids and some friends, Diablo came out, and I will be out for another 1 week vacation after Gamescom in the first week of September. Yeah. For 1 week, and exactly in that week we got to get the release of Starfield. So man, here this Rock Ally is gonna come in definitely handy. I will be playing that while sitting in Italy on the beach, man. I cannot wait. RWK88 sends in $2 super chat. Thank you so much for the support, man. He says, great show as always, guys. Thanks. No, thank you. Glad you're enjoying the show. And I do hope everyone else is also enjoying the show. And if you do so, guys, it would be absolutely awesome if you could do us a favor and just hit the like button. Doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us out. And if you're new here, of course, consider subscribing to this channel. We do this show every week, Dutch, and it's always a blast, man. But I lost my train of thought on Starfield. I wanted to say something else about the game. We'll just get back to it. So, what else? Phil Spencer actually had an interview, pardon me, with Polygon, and he said something about their setup for 2024 and beyond. He said, I think we are in a position to really pay our investment off, and not just for the next 12 months. When I look forward, there are so many things we haven't talked about what's coming. There are so many things we haven't talked about what's coming from id Software. We haven't talked about what's coming from the Coalition. When are we going to see Perfect Dark again? And when are we going to see Everwild again? There are so many things that we are still working on that we haven't shown. I mean, I don't like to be confident, but I like to be humbly confident. I feel good about what that portfolio is. I think we are set up very, very well for 24 and beyond. I mean, that showcase definitely showed confidence, no doubt. For 24, they already announced Hellblade, Avowed. Obviously, there's going to
Towerborn.
be and Towerborn. Yeah, I always forget Towerborn. I don't know. That game didn't really do much for me, honestly. How about you?
I'm looking forward to it. It's different. It's different. And to be fair, I like those side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Like even if you think of the likes of Streets of Rage and things like that, I like those games.
I like Streets of Rage. Yeah,
I think so. I think you like Towerborn because it's ish like that. But it's also co-op attacks and moves and things like that, and it's upgradable gear, which is something that you don't have in those kind of games. So kind of reminders of that, but a bit more embellished, a little bit more to it. Okay. So yeah,
I don't know,
a little double A game.
See, like the judge from the FTC thing just said, hey, I can just download it and don't have to pay $70. And so of course I'm gonna give it a try. Just saying, I don't know. I know I should be liking it. I like RPGs. I like that 2D side-scrolling. What was the one I'm thinking of, Dutch? That came out last year, and we get this year the second one, the Japanese one with the girl.
Oh yes. Yes.
I'm blanking on the name right now. Pixel art.
This one's called 100 Heroes.
Yes, the new one is called 100 Heroes, but you know what I mean.
I know it's
Probably someone in the chat can let us know.
Based on our blankness.
Yes, I really enjoyed that game. Man, now I have to look it up.
Type in 100 Heroes, that should bring it up.
You're right. 100 Heroes. God. Avowed Chronicles.
That's the one.
That's what I
Rising.
really... Yes, Avowed Chronicles Rising. I really enjoyed that. Was truly surprised by it. But I don't know, for some reason Towerborn just did, but maybe I'm wrong, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I hope that's the case. But of course, besides that, Xbox has so much to show, and for Phil really putting out the names again, you know, Perfect Dark, Everwild, and all the others that they haven't shown. The Coalition, of course, id Software he mentions, is just. Do you really think? Because we've heard him tease it now, and we also heard Matt Booty now more regularly say, yeah, we are going to get into that cadence where we actually can hit that consistent quality game releases like every quarter or so. Do you think we will see that now starting in 24? Or is it going to be the case that they delay Avowed again, and all we are left with is Hellblade, or even that get?
No, I don't think. I think they've learned their lesson. If you, especially in the Giant Bomb interview, they spoke about how jokingly with Flight Sim 2024. They were talking about release dates and release windows, and they were like, maybe we should put all of our studios, or make them all put the year of the release in there, so they have to release them that year. But seriously, in all seriousness, though, they're like, no, we can't obviously put 24 in the title and release it 25, guys, so it has to hit next year if it's there. So they're like, yeah, well, yeah, that's why it's called Flight Sim 24. So, but yeah, I think they're past making the mistake of announcing a game for a year and it not releasing in that year. I think they aren't past the point now, though. I think they've learned from the mistake on giving a set date too early and not hitting it. So I think what we'll end up getting is much like we have this year for the likes of Starfield and the likes of Redfall and things like that, is we'll get to the beginning of the year, and we'll get a direct, and you'll get your dates for Hellblade and Avowed, or even, and again, we've said for Hellblade, it could be a different thing. Hellblade could get something tail end of the year for a big event. We still think that. Others don't. We've had this discussion on our show, but we still think Game Awards is a big opportunity for one last thing. It was originally unveiled there, so why not, for the big 10-year event, give them the, okay, well, we've got a new IP to show off, but we've also got something special, and that's the release date for Hellblade, and he has some combat gameplay, and then you can do a deep dive on it in a direct. In January.
That would be like exactly what they need to do, man.
And the key thing here as well is, the key thing here as well is they've asked the studios what time frame they can do it without forcing themselves. So this is the studios saying, okay, realistically, next year, without pressure, we can release these games, which is a positive thing. It means they went to the studios and say, okay, realistically, when is this going to be ready? Hellblade have said realistically it's going to be next year. We all assumed it could squeeze into this year. So the fact that they've went, no, realistically it's going to be next year. And Avowed have said, yeah, realistically it's going to be next year. Fable haven't put that date on. And of course, we all looking at Fable, you would think, God, that looks fantastic. But Fable haven't got a date on there yet. I'm thinking it's going to be a 25 game.
Yeah, me too.
Which is why they haven't give that yet. We haven't seen Clockwork. That looked further ahead than a lot of games we saw there. But that was full-on gameplay. That was the best way to show off a game. But Clockwork doesn't have a release. That's just in due time.
Especially for the very first time. You know, the people don't give them credit for, because usually those games get announced for the first time with a CG trailer. at best
Yeah.
what they did with South of Midnight, with like an art style revealing in engine like trailer. But Clockwork showed, the setting, they gave an idea about the lore, story, things, and they've shown snippets of gameplay. And that, for the actual game reveal, it was fantastic. A fantastic way to show or premiere a game. Yeah, absolutely. But please do continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's all right. It is right. We spoke about this yesterday, and I'd like to kind of dive into that a little bit more in a second as well, because it shows the confidence that Hellblade and Avowed have to commit to a 24 release, when games like Clockwork, which in my opinion showed better than those games. It's not to say Avowed looked terrible or played terrible. I just thought Clockwork's presentation, the way they showed off the game, suggested initially that was much closer than I've ever seen. Like, that was a really high polished actual gameplay game, with like showing people getting flung in the air, which was clearly in game, and gunplay, which was clearly in game, and like set pieces with it, like robots coming down and chasing you.
Yeah.
Like, it looks so well polished already, and that game's miles out apparently. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
If anything, I was expecting a release date on that one, because that one looked so far ahead. But that one looked like a 24 game.
I was also super surprised for the fact that they shown so much from it. They apparently were not confident enough to give an estimate, or at least a release window. But kudos to them. I mean, seriously, in Exile, Wasteland 3, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Be that as it may, it's not like they had this for a long time in the making, I did not expect to see that much from the In Exile game reveal itself. And it looked fantastic. And
yeah, it was the best. And we spoke about this yesterday, but that is the best I've seen a game reveal itself on a first showing ever. I don't think I've ever seen a game show itself off that well for the first time it is both being announced and shown gameplay in the same time. I can't remember. I'm talking AAA IPs, by the way. I'm not talking about Hi-Fi Rush, which also looked fantastic.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
thinking that dropped immediately.
I mean,
Hi-Fi
Fallout
Rush
4 was always comes to mind, because they revealed that at E3, and 3 months or 4 months later it came out. And
that was what Bethesda used to do, but at the same time, Microsoft don't want to do that for Bethesda anymore, because they know what happens when Bethesda do that. The game's release broken, and the release bugged, and the release full of issues. So we'll never see that from Bethesda again. Okay. Good. As much as we want them to just drop games and they release games, and several months later we know what happens. It's they called Bugthesda for a reason, because they're always full of bugs and full of issues. So I'm glad they're not going to be doing that anymore. But in terms of the way it was presented, the soundtrack they chose for that, everything that went along with it, I can't think of a better game showing for a game that is miles out. Than that.
I do agree. I can't.
Usually, like we mentioned before, the way we got Fable was just a CGI trailer, and then Fable popped up.
Yeah.
The way we got Avowed was CGI and then Avowed. And the way Indy was just Indy's hat. Elder Scrolls 6 was just a pan over the landscape, CGI.
State of Decay 3,
CGI was CGI.
Perfect Dark, CGI. Hellblade, CGI.
Yeah, everything. And then this pops out of nowhere. We don't know about it. We were wondering what NXIL were working on. We seen how hyped they were getting on Twitter, and how much active they were getting. We're like, they
have the best community manager, dude.
Awesome community team.
Yeah.
But then to have to back it up when they do drop the announcement with something that looks that well polished, that far out from release, and with that much gameplay, that caught me by surprise. That was my pick of the show in the end, having like retrospectively thought of it. As much as I loved Starfield, and I do love it to death, in terms of the big whoa factor, that one got me more than anything. That looked tremendous.
Yeah, I agree. And I see Pyromet in the chat saying that Xbox should try 3 showcases a year. February, June, and October. Yeah, I would agree. Early in the year, mid of the year, end of the year would be like the 2 directs, at the beginning and end.
Yeah. I think we'll see that though. I think they've hinted at it, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've hinted at it. They obviously we had the direct at the beginning of the year. We then got June. They've said it's not over. We've still got Gamescom, TGS, the Game Awards, and potentially another one. And they stopped short of saying what that was, but we can probably assume that's going to be another direct at the end of the year. So yeah, I fully expect that. It's just when that is. But yeah, I agree. I think going forward, we'll probably see a direct at the beginning, the showcase in the middle, a direct at the end. I think that'll be the staple kind of way that Xbox do things. For us, we hope that they take, like everybody else in the industry, Gamescom more seriously again.
Absolutely.
Because Gamescom is the biggest game show in the world. That isn't even disputable. There's 500,000 people go there in a day, not just over the course.
Yeah.
That's one day.
It's
500,000 people turn up.
It's ridiculous how big Gamescom actually is. And I really wonder why.
For retrospect, for people who understand, the maximum amount of people that went to E3 was 60,000.
Yeah. It's like, kindergarten. Compare. And that's why I don't understand why publishers are not using that big stage, that big event as for more major announcements. I know a lot of the people going to Gamescom. Gamescom is like not just for showing off games. Publishers don't just have like PlayStation's, Xbox at their booths to play the games. It's also a big event in terms of like meet and greets with the bigger influencers, streamers, and whatnot. That's why they attract so many people. Yeah, the biggest streamers are going there for meet and greets and whatnot. But yeah, it is a significant stage, and I do hope that a lot more publishers will take it more serious now that E3 is gone. Yeah, I do agree there. Machine games, man. There's a rumor floating around. I don't know if you've seen that.
I mean, outside of indie is exclusive.
Yeah, no, outside of indie is exclusive, which is not a rumor anymore. I mean, Pete Hines, there's probably no better source than that guy. Uncle Pete. Want to get the quote right. There it is. So, Machine Games allegedly is working on another unannounced game that is not Wolfenstein 3 nor Indiana Jones. A gaming industry job spotter called Timur222, who apparently leaked a lot of games in the making through like LinkedIn's and job applications and whatnot, wrote that on Twitter, and according to his tweet, he's been told that the ZeniMax owned Swedish studio Machine Games is working on a game that is neither the Wolfenstein nor the upcoming Indiana Jones title.
Nice.
So I'll take it with a grain of salt, but that would explain why we haven't seen Wolfenstein 3, right?
Yeah. Wolfenstein 3.
3, exactly. There you go. You listen and learn. For those who don't know, 3 in German means 3, so it would be actually Wolfenstein 3. Yeah. Do you think there is something to this, or is it just one of those rumors that?
It's a possibility. We want Wolfenstein. For us fans of the Wolfenstein series, we want it. But that's not to say that Machine Games want to do that right now. They might want to do something new. So if they want to do something new alongside something new in indie, then I'm all for it. I want to see what else they're capable of. if anything, this is the same kind of thing that we've seen with Playground, wanting to diversify from doing your typical racing game, and now look at what they're creating with Fable. So if they want to diversify from your typical shooter,
Yeah.
your action shooter, to something entirely different with indie and something else, then diversify. We'll probably see something really interesting from them.
Absolutely.
That's what I like to see. The one thing we've kind of complained about as a collective gamer over the many years is that indies are now the only bastions of creativity in the gaming space because they're not afraid to take risks. What I like about Xbox now is that some of these studios who have been stuck doing the same things forever are now crying out to take creative risks, and Microsoft are going, okay,
Yeah.
be creative.
True.
So if Machine Games are trying something outside of the Wolf series, then I am all for it. I'm all for it. Same as I am for id Tech. If id want to do something entirely different from Doom and Quake, as much as I'd love to see Doom and Quake, and we expect them to appear anyway alongside a new IP, I would love for them to diversify and see what they can do with the id Tech engine. I think that engine's underutilized for other things.
I mean, we've seen only one game where the id engine was used outside of the linear first-person shooter, and that was, of course, Rage 2, which was an open-world shooter. So, but it is an amazing engine, and I would love to see. I think with indie, I think Indiana Jones will run on id engine, and it will be vastly different, third person, something we have not seen in the id engine, man. But I find the rumor hard to believe, honestly, because Wolfenstein 1 and 2, or Wolfenstein 1 und 2, were designed to be a trilogy. So why would you just move away from them from Wolfenstein before finishing out the trilogy, especially when you already doing something new, something different? So I'm not sure if this rumor is true, but I thought it was an interesting idea. I thought it was an interesting idea. Dutch, should we talk about the elephant in the room? And it is the controversial topic of Xbox this week. And of course, that is the price hike.
Yes.
The price increase. I mean, console prices, Sony has raised them everywhere outside of the US. Now Xbox is following suit, although they increase it, I think, everywhere. At least they are consistent. Yeah. And do not just increase the prices in the markets where they are the leader. Or not the leader. But yeah, outside of that, Game Pass also got a price increase. It is 1 or 2 euros respectively, for 2 euros for Xbox Ultimate. I think it's £2 in the UK as well, right? The increase, and $2 for Ultimate at least. So not a significant jump. It's not that all of a sudden Game Pass is not unaffordable and not worth the money anymore. But it is an interesting timing. So, what do you think about this price hike? I mean, we have been very critical of Sony when they did it. So where do you stand with this?
Yeah, I see. There's two sides to the coin, and I'm going to address both sides. So, the first side is it's expected. Xbox held out until the very last minute when they did say this. They've been warning us for months and said we will only pass on. We'll hold out for as long as we can, and before we do anything like price increases. And they've held off for an additional 6 months past there when their competitor put the prices up, and then they put the prices up. And so it's not like they said they weren't going to do it. They did say at some point inevitable that it will happen, but we'll try and hold off as long as we can. So we knew it was coming. It was just a case of when and how much, of course. To be honest, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because when I thought they were going to do a price increase, I said I could see Ultimate going to like 15 or 14.99. And with the family pass being kind of projected to be around that 20 mark or 20 something mark, that would kind of make sense, and it would still be viable as a subscription service. On that front, yeah. We also have to take into account, of course, as with every business, and I work specifically with businesses, both mid-market and blue chip corporates. What the term is always used is shit falls downhill. So when they get price increases from their suppliers, they pass that price increase on to their customers, who then pass that price increase on to their customers, who then pass that price increase, and it falls all the way down until eventually gets to the person who's getting the end product, which is usually, if you're starting at the top with someone who's making lights for a car, that goes into the car manufacturer, who then puts the price up of that, because of course the delivery, and then the car goes on sale, and the markup price for the car to the wholesaler is increased. So when the wholesaler sells that car, that has a higher turnaround for the actual cost of the car when that goes on to sell from new. So it's the same thing. Same with bakers. I've dealt with a lot of bakers and large bakery companies. So it's exactly the same thing with flour and salt and all of those things that go into making breads and bakery stuff.
Yeah.
They put up price bread and things like that by 10 pence, and it doesn't sound much on the face of things, but when you're doing that as a grand scheme, that covers a lot of their overhead costs. And naturally, that's what people don't understand, is that yes, we're getting this £2 increase and the console cost increase, but Microsoft have already had that charge from their suppliers for the parts, for the materials, for the supply chain that they're getting it all bought from, who are saying, listen, the cost to produce these chips has went up because the electricity costs have went through the roof, and the cost for the materials has went up because it's more scarce now because of X, Y, and Z. So they're getting that. They're passing that on to Microsoft. Microsoft are passing that down the chain to Xbox. Xbox are now passing that down the chain onto the consumer. So unfortunately, because of the way the world is, and with inflation on everything, not just the basics, but everything that goes into anything, as consumers, we're going to get them. It's horrible. It's unfortunate, but it was just a matter of time. But, and this is why we say this about these companies, these are also still companies that have got multi-billion-dollar banks with, and the amount that they are charging on top of this could have either been mitigated, and it could have been a much smaller increase. Again, we can afford this, but outside of our hardcore bubble, who pay towards this hobby religiously, and we no matter what comes out, we'll buy it. New technology, it's day one. New controllers, we got it. New,
new. Yeah, exactly. The ROG Ally. It is. It was so hard for me to make that decision, because my wife brought up like a really good argument. Okay, what's your use case? And it was like, well, I'm sitting now here on my desk while my TV is right behind me, and of course I play on the go. But it's the thing is, of course, we invest as passionate gamers in the hobby, and this is where we've got to detract ourselves, because a lot of people, of course, were kicking off on Twitter saying, "Yeah, but it's only £2." Blah. I'm like, yes, but take yourself out of the hardcore bubble for a moment. Including myself, I can afford to do this. That's fine. I can afford a £2 increase every month. If I'm going to get a new console, it's going to be 20-something pound more expensive. Not that I am, because I've got a Series X and I've got a Series S. Series S isn't affected. It's only the high-tier console, the Series X. But take myself out of that bubble for a moment. If I was someone that had next to no, for instance, if you enjoy playing games, but you haven't got that much money, you're trying to play the newer stuff, and the way you've been able to continue to play this new stuff is because Microsoft have offered a subscription that falls into a bracket that allows you to play new games. Otherwise,
can't get these £70 games because financially they're completely out of reach for you because you're not there. You don't have a Netflix, you don't have an Amazon, you don't have a Disney Plus. Your TV service is all the way down. You've got the really basic internet because that's what you can afford, but you really like games and you've got to connect an Xbox console, and if you've got an old Xbox One because you can't afford to get an Xbox Series or an Xbox console, but you have Wi-Fi so you can play the newest on Xbox Ultimate. You can stream the newest games via the cloud gaming on the console itself. These things, when people are thinking about that and they're going, "Oh, it's an extra £2," like it's the difference between me getting to work tomorrow or not, and it's the difference between putting a little bit more gas or electric on for the day or getting a loaf of bread or something like that. And these are things that we've got to kind of just pull ourselves out of that for a moment and think about that. And people say it's not a massive difference to anybody, but it is a massive difference to people. It's a massive difference to some people, not to us because we're not in that situation. But you've got to think it's a knock-on effect. Like, it's not just the £2 that's went up for them recently. It's the £2 that's went up for them on this. It's the £50 to £100 that's went up on the gas and electric. It's the council tax that has went up for them. It's the rent that's been put up for them. It's the mortgage rates that's been put up for them if they have a house.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's woof. It's the collaboration of things, and it's like another thing that is going up. Like, it's what you class as the straw that breaks the camel's back for some things, and then they just go, "I can't do it at the minute."
I do understand what you're saying. And I always do look at this.
But again, that's devil's advocate. You've got to look at it like I say, you've got to look at it from both ways. We can afford it. We can easily afford this, but there are going to be some people that are going to struggle to do those things, and it could be their only kind of vice that they have. They might not smoke and drink. They might not get little treats for themselves, and Game Pass is something that they do. And that extra couple of pounds might not fit into that little budget they have, that little extra budget. And I've got a lot of people, I know a lot of people as well, that have a very slim budget to what they can treat themselves with every month. Like my game share buddy is one of those people he's part-time. He doesn't earn much. He covers the basics, but that's it. I game share with him so we can get these new games day one. But his stretch is like really small, so he'll save up. Like if he asks for a game, he'll be like, "Oh, but I will buy half of it. I'll buy half of it." I'm like, "Don't worry too much." I'm like I'll just get it, and then when you've got the money, you can give us it back. So and then he struggles to put like £30 towards a £60 game, and I'm like, but that's him trying his best to pay towards some of these games as well. So, and as much as people say it isn't much, for some people it is.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you've got to play. You've got to look at it from every angle. Really, some people are thinking it's a non-thing, but I wouldn't
overemphasize too much personally the impact of the $1 or $2. I do get what you're saying, though. I do, because if everything you buy on a weekly basis or monthly basis increases $1 or $2, it's an avalanche.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's in collaboration. It's the camel's back thing. It's your food prices have just went up, so that you're struggling on that front. Your gas and electric, your rent, everything's just went up, and then Xbox has gone up, and you're just like, "Oh, like that was I just had enough left to cover this, and now I'm £2 short every month, or I'm £1 short." Like something, it's just that tiny little bit, that little. You're like, "Damn." And this is where I'm saying, listen, I can't wait for friends and family, because then I'm just going to sign up a bunch of people that I know that are like struggling a little bit.
We've been waiting for that for far too long. See, the thing is about this price increase. The one thing is, of course, the console. I mean, we've had the high inflation now for 1.5 years or so, and eventually this was bound to be happen. And same goes, of course, for Game Pass. We've talked about this on this show, that eventually it's going to happen. Yeah, I just feel, and it sucks. There's no sugarcoating this. Of course, it sucks for people if you have to pay $50 more for the console you want to get. Yeah. Then again, everything increases. My problem, of course, with this is And that's why I really can't defend this. And I didn't defend it when PlayStation did it. I'm not going to defend it when Xbox did it. Because in the next earnings report of Xbox, we're going to hear like record-breaking revenue again. And of course, if they want to keep those record-breaking quarterly earning reports, those yearly record-breaking earning reports, they got to do things like that. I understand that being a public traded company, I understand how economy works, but at the end of the day, we are the customers. We have to pay for it so that they can report record-breaking revenue. And unless you are a shareholder of Microsoft, you should really not care. So that's of course the one thing. The other thing is, though, it's inevitable. I know that. I know it was inevitable, but the timing is so bad, if you ask me, because Xbox had a rough time, and we've been giving them a lot of smoke also, especially after things like the Red fail and everything. And Xbox has been promising Game Pass subscribers day one quality AAA exclusive first-party games, for so many years now. And if you look especially at this gen, they have only given us like Forza Horizon and Halo, and then we had 18 months of nothing, and then we had the Redfall debacle, and after that, they ask for more money. I think it's just bad timing. If you bring out Starfield and Forza, and you had some of these bangers in that subscription service, maybe a Stalker 2 if it still comes out this year, which is apparently still a thing, but I have my doubts on that. But or if a Hellblade is already in Game Pass or something like that, if you had some of these major AAA big blockbuster games that they've been promising us for many years now, I think that's the timing when you can actually increase the game price. But you don't do that. You don't do that right after you launch Redfall as the first game in 18 months into the service, from first party perspective, of course, yeah. So I don't think that's good timing, and I wonder why Xbox did it, because they could have easily waited 2 months from a financial perspective. They had just this amazing showcase. We talked about it. We loved it. The hype in the Xbox community is there. And why did you need to throw in like another bone in the wheel? It's like, I don't get it. I don't get the timing. But then, of course, we are all like watching here live in parallel some of the things that happen with the FTC and ABK, and maybe it has to do with that. I think someone on your podcast yesterday said that that it could be a timing thing with ABK, because if they close the ABK deal, they cannot increase the game price whatsoever. So they have to do it up front. It could be a thing. I think that's a fair argument. But at the very end of the day, again, us gamers have to pay more for the same. It's not significant, I know, for most people, yeah. But still, I think it's the wrong signal at the wrong time. Let us have Starfield or Forza first, and then it's still. I've seen people on Twitter are hyperbolic out again. I'm unsubscribing and whatnot. It's still a great value. Even with the price hike, it's a fantastic value, the best value in gaming, no doubt. I just think that the symbolic, move at this point in time is not good. But hey, who knows if something is to this about this whole ABK deal? Because I think I do believe that after the ABK deal closes, and I think Microsoft is preparing for that now, for that to happen soon, rather sooner than later. I don't think that they would be able to increase the game prices after that. So, yeah. Any closing thoughts on that topic before we move on, man?
No, I think we've covered it.
I think we covered it pretty well. So, Digital Foundry had their podcast earlier this week, and they said something interesting about mid-gen refresh consoles. So they don't believe that Xbox has one in the making. They said that they consider the series, or Microsoft considers considers the Series X to be that mid-gen refresh already, and the Series S is the base device. So we have the rumors out there that Sony is definitely going to have a PlayStation 5 Pro, probably next year. What do you think? Series X, is that really already for Microsoft the mid-gen thing and they are not going to do one? Or what do you think, man?
I think it's a fluid situation. I don't think. Where was that report coming from?
Digital Foundry.
Nah. I think it's a fluid situation, and they'll decide whether or not they continue with a mid, because it's always in the works. Microsoft know it's already in the works. They've already said as much ages ago. As soon as they finish a system, they're already debating what the next system is. Like, even they said this about the One X. When the One was in development, they were already thinking about the One X.
Yeah.
And when the One X was being made, they were already thinking about the Series X.
Yeah, of course, because it takes around about 4 years, plus minus, of course, to develop such a system. If you wouldn't have a mid-gen refresh, you could probably not wait a little, because it's kind of hard to foresee where's technology like in 8-9 years so at the very end of the generation. But yeah, I do agree. I do think they will have one. I think it's always a possibility for developers or for the platform holders to not bring out, of course, the mid-gen refresh thing. But both of them know if their competitor does it and they don't, they are screwed. And you can't develop such a console over midnight. So I would assume that they at least have the development ongoing to a certain degree, like 1 or 2 years in, and then 2 years before the console is supposed to come out, they will have to make like the final decision. Okay, are we really moving forward doing proper prototype builds, which costs millions and millions of dollars? Yeah. Or are we leaving it? And I don't think that any one of them is willing to risk to not do the mid-gen refresh thing and have the other one do it. That's just, I don't think that's an option for either of them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that as well. We both would assume, based on where the technology's already moved, that they need to get
that's the other thing. Of course, yeah.
A new one in place. They expect the PlayStation 5 revision next year, but I've already said I wouldn't be surprised if those would slightly be pushed back depending on where things are. I can see Microsoft, as they did with the Series X, pushed that back to make sure that they had the newest at the time, or at least the newest they could at the time, included within the console. So I can see them potentially even looking at pushing back a mid-gen refresh to get the newest within that, or at least the newest they can get within that.
Yeah.
To an extent, of course, there's still going to be x86, so they're still going to be easily developed for across different platforms. But they're definitely going to wait out and say, okay, well, this one's got the ability to do the new FSR 3 or whatever it is, and Zen 4 CPU, and it's supremely more powerful. It's the Elite Series X or something ridiculous. I don't know.
Series XL.
Series XL or the Series X Elite.
Yep.
yeah, I can still see them doing one. I just think they'll wait till the very end before announcing it. Much like the Series X, they'll wait till the bitter end to see what technology is doing and saying, can we squeeze this thing in? Can we get this in here? And they did it with the Series X, so I would assume they would probably do it with this one as well. Is there something they know of working with AMD that is something that they're working on that they could include within a revision?
Yeah. See, of course, you already mentioned
Sony just want to be the first.
That's true. Although we must say that Microsoft announced their consoles, their last couple of consoles, super early. Series X, we all remember that. Game Awards like a year in advance prior to its release. The Series, the One X was even longer. That was E3, and it came out the year in November, the year after. So almost 1.5 years in advance. So they're no stranger to announcing those consoles early. Doesn't mean that they will do it again. But I have no doubt that they are making one again for competition reasons alone. And the other thing is, of course, technology moves forward. And when you look where we are right now with in the PC space, the 4080, 90, 40,000 series of NVIDIA is out. AMD has the Zen 5 CPUs on the horizon. You know, RDNA 4 is a thing coming next year. Technology just moves faster than the 8-year console cycle, and I do get the argument that a lot of people bring up when it comes to mid-gen consoles. What's the point? Yeah. First, what's the selling point? Of course, because the last mid-gen refresh was 4K. What's it going to be this year? This time, but even more so, the console hasn't been used by any of the games fully to its full potential. And I dare say it probably never really will. You will not have that game that uses all of those tools that we've heard. Yeah, that uses mesh shaders and VRS and sampler feedback streaming and the direct storage and everything. Yeah. Because all those games are being developed for PC, where you don't have all these options always available in exactly that way. So we will probably not see that one game where we say, wow, this is using all the tools. We will have great visually looking games. We will have Forza coming. I mean, obviously, a beautiful tech showcase, yeah. Hellblade is coming. Beautiful game. All these Unreal Engine 5 games. But they will look even better if they run it on an RDNA 4 GPU. And then a Zen 5 CPU. That's just a fact. Yeah. Machine learning has advanced and so on. And so what's the point? Yeah, we see so many console games nowadays not being optimized for anymore, especially from Xbox. They are getting the 30 FPS. What's the point of a next-gen console? Finally, we probably brute force 60 FPS finally. I don't know. There's so much you could do. I've no doubt that both of them, Sony and Microsoft, are going to do them. Because can you imagine there's a PS5 Pro out, it runs every game at 60 on the console, has better visuals, significantly better visuals, better ray tracing, better everything, and Xbox don't. Just not gonna happen, dude. Just not gonna happen. So I've no doubt, and personally, I would love it. I love new tech. It's always exciting. It excites the gaming communities, dude. Console launches, the gaming industry needs them. They always, in the year where a console launches, there's excitement in the gaming community. Like rarely anything else can achieve. So I do want one, and I've no doubt that they are coming. Let me shout out Dave Ramos, who sends in a super member chat for being a channel member for 24 months, man. Thank you so much for the continued support, brother. He says, he's, by the way, one of my ally brothers now. Yeah, he's also got an ally. I have to get in touch with you, man. I have a couple of questions, honestly, that I haven't figured out yet. So I'll hit you up in the DMs, man. He says, World of Gaming subscription increase when? Lol, joking. Great show, chance listening on my commute home. So drive safely, brother. And thank you. Actually, here on YouTube, we had a little growth here during showcase season, but we've seen a good growth on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thank you, guys, if you do listen on the podcast services around the world. People don't listen on Amazon Music, though. We still only have I don't know. People in the chat in the last podcast said that they are all subscribed, and Amazon still shows me just one subscriber. So I'm not sure if there's something wrong with Amazon. But there's definitely something wrong with Amazon. But
there's a lot wrong with Amazon.
There's a lot of wrong with them, but that's not what I meant in that case. But yeah, guys, thanks for the continued support. And now I lost my train of thought. So yeah, just move on. Let's move on to the next topic. The Nintendo Direct, Dutch. You've watched it, I know.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Nintendo Direct? I mean, there was a couple of good things. For those who haven't watched it yet,
I would say it was joint second best showcase of the showcase season, along with Ubisoft.
That good.
Yeah, if you have a look at it from a first party perspective, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about first party IPs and you're talking about showing games off and announcing new games, they announced a fan favorite remake in Mario RPG. They announced a brand new Peach game. They announced a brand new Mario game. They announced a brand new Luigi's Mansion. They announced a new Wario Dance game. Yeah. They announced there's countless things. Like it was just back to back. They announced a new Star Ocean. Yes. Was it Star Ocean? Yeah, Star Ocean, which looked fantastic, by the way.
Right. They even announced the Arkham trilogy coming to the Switch.
Yep. Pikmin 4 gameplay showcase there.
And a demo coming next week.
Pokemon's new expansion showcase there. So, yeah, it was in terms of actual Nintendo IPs and showing off brand new games for that system, they showed a lot of games. So, in terms of what we look for in a console-specific showcase, showcasing games for your platform only, they knocked it out the park. I think they did a really good job. Now, naturally, me and you aren't the biggest Nintendo players. We like Zeldas. I like Pokemon. Yeah. Occasionally Mario. I'm much more just a fan of Mario Kart myself. Of course, they announced the new Mario Kart maps that are going in there.
Oh, my kids are gonna be so happy, man. I play so much Mario Kart with my kids. So
I love Mario Kart.
Yeah, me too.
Love Mario Kart. Always
and we have to admit, Mario Kart 8 is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the series.
Yeah, without doubt. I am so glad they've done these map packs as well. And if you've got the expansion pass on the console, you get them at no additional cost. And if you don't have it, then it's £20. So, but yeah, fantastic. It's I think it was a really good, strong first party showcase from Nintendo.
It was, no doubt. No doubt. For me personally, there was not very much in it. I'm intrigued by Luigi's Mansion, but of course, another remake.
Mario RPG for me.
Mario RPG is the one I'm eyeballing with, because I have played Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo.
It was long.
But yeah, exactly. It was like 30 years ago, and I haven't played it since. But I remember enjoying it very much as a kid. So I don't know. I don't want to ruin those memories, But if you think about this as a brand new game, it could be a fun one. I'm also looking forward to the new Super Mario Brothers Wonder, a 2D Mario. You can never go wrong with those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, they always bring out these remakes and remasters and things, and the one I always want to say, if you guys just could do me one favor, or maybe two, is Zelda. Do proper Zelda remakes, and there's of course a Link to the Past. Do that in the way like they did Link. What is it? Was it the one where you're on the island with the egg? Link's Awakening. Do Link to the Past in that graphical art style, or I think one of the most underrated Zelda games was Twilight Princess, and I would love for them to do give Twilight Princess like a proper treatment, because that was a phenomenal Zelda game. And of course, no Switch 2, man. No Switch 2.
Yeah.
But I feel like 24 is the year when the Switch comes out, which could speak against the PS5 Pro and Xbox Series XL or whatever it's called, to be released that year also, because I don't know. But yeah, I do agree. It was a very, very good Nintendo Direct. Whether the games are all for you, yeah, that depends, of course, if you're an Xbox, a Nintendo fan. But for Nintendo fans, it was really, really good. So that brings us already, because I know you gotta run in like little less than 30 minutes, right? That brings us.
I'm cat sitting this weekend, so Button the loudmouth cat is coming over to shout at us for 3 days straight. So
you're gonna have you have the cat for 3 days now.
Yeah,
I know that. Interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna shout at us whilst I make coffee, and he demands food as he does.
Sounds like fun. I'm not a cat. My wife wants to get a cat, but I'm not a cat fan.
He's really soft. He's soft as clots, but when he gets comfortable, he just doesn't shut up. He likes talking, and he just talks a lot. And you don't know what he wants, to be honest. You've got a bowl of food, it's full. You've got loads of water. What do you want? You go to the kitchen to make coffee, it follows you and then just starts shouting at you at the door when you're making a coffee.
You make it sound like it's with my kids, but you give them food, you give them toys to play, you give them something to drink, and there's still things they yell about all day. Oh, no. Yeah. So community questions. So we haven't had community questions in a while, because the last couple of podcasts we've done were all like special episodes for the showcases. So it's good to have the community questions back, because you guys know the drill. Each and every Wednesday, you can write in your questions, even if you're not live here at the show. You can still ask us questions or propose topics, and we try to get to as many of them as possible at the end of every show. And this week, Block Captain 86 writes in and says, I think the capabilities of the next Nintendo are a true wild card of the second half of the 9th gen. It's a handheld again, and I think it is and comes at least close to a Series S. Instead of having 2 consoles and PC, we would have 3 machines that are able to play AAA third-party games. I think that would change the dynamic within the gaming industry quite a bit and would be a very healthy thing. What do you think?
Sorry, repeat what he said there.
So, if the Switch comes out and is at least as powerful as a Series S, it would be easily able to run like a AAA games, and so we would have 3 different devices to run the third-party games.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing for the industry?
I mean, it would be a good thing, but it's completely unrealistic to think that the next Switch is going to be as powerful as the Series S. Nintendo love the fact that they can sell really outdated hardware that just gets the job done for a fraction of the price on development and production costs, and put a big price on it. The Switch is like 10 years old in terms of the hardware internally now.
Yeah.
And it was already 3 years out of date when it released.
Yeah.
So it's the next console is going to be already 3 years out of date. Like whatever the Switch 2 is, it's already going to be way out of date. It's not going to be as powerful as it's definitely not going to be 4 teraflops. The Switch isn't even a teraflop. It's not even 1.
No.
It's like something like 0.8.
0.8, yeah, 0.86.
Which is what the Xbox 360 was, I think.
Yeah.
So as much as it would be great, I completely agree. We want it as people. We want a powerful Switch like you've got with the ROG Ally, like you've got with the Steam Deck. You want a powerful thing. But then what comes with these more powerful things is the trade-off that battery life is pretty damn short. You're talking like 2 hours or less for these things. Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
With the ROG Ally, it's less.
Yeah. And with a Switch, it's already not got a great battery life. You'd still lucky if you get 2 hours-ish on a Switch, really. Especially after the first year. You're lucky if you get 2 hours. So they've got that balancing act anyway. They're also still in this weird zone where they are insistent on cartridges, and haven't switched to like a MIDI disc or something like that yet to get a little bit more size on. Like they could easily just bring back the MIDI disc like they did with the GameCube. It was like a mini CD.
Definitely more challenging in a portable console, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it's an option. Or you just increase the cartridge size. Don't have a tiny little cartridge, have a much larger cartridge. You have just like a little slip-out disc tray thing like you do in the PSP.
Yeah.
And at least then you've got a little bit more space to work with. And again, in terms of the hardware thing, you just work a little bit more on the cooling, do some liquid cooling, which mobiles have. You've already got an OLED screen in the new Switch, so you can do that. You sell that console at 350, 400, but you increase the power output, you increase the battery, you increase the capabilities. 350, 400, it'll still sell well. It'll still do numbers. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't see them having the increased power. Not to something that's going to even put them on par with a PlayStation, so the Series S. So I don't even think they'll get that far. That's a lot of power to be putting in a portable.
It is, and especially since Nintendo likes to make money. You know, Xbox and even PlayStation.
They like to make money. There's a lot of markup on the Switch.
They sell the consoles at loss or not a big margin. They recoup the money with the software sales, of course. Whilst Nintendo always did and sold their hardware with a significant profit. So I also don't think it's gonna happen. Would be cool though. Would be cool. Jonathan Smith writes in and asks, with the announcement of the price increases for hardware and Game Pass in multiple regions, do you expect this trend to continue till the end of the current console cycle, or is it an anomaly? So basically he asks, do we expect console price drops in the next couple of years of this gen?
In the next couple of years, yes. In the next year, no. When all of our governments have got to grips with inflation and start to bring it down, then we could see some. But our inflation in the UK has literally, when it was expected to fall, has stayed stagnant this week. and the bank have just put interest rates up again. It's not going to be anytime soon. It's not.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's going to be at least 2 years until we see price drops on anything tech related.
I don't think any of them actually wanted this to happen.
No.
Sony is probably a little bit more happier that they were able to do it that early, get the money in, of course. But when you are 3 years, 4 years into a console generation, you have already reached the early adopters. Yeah, as hardcore fans. We all have those consoles. Then you need to go into the casual market. And the casual market is hard to get at 500. The Series S, fantastic price point. Of course, obviously, target audience, casual gaming market. But if you think about the PlayStation 5, the casuals are not easily paying $550. So, yes, I expect the prices to drop, but it really depends on the worldwide economy. I don't think we can look at this in the gaming space alone. We have to look at this price thing on a global scale with the worldwide economy. And so I don't think we will see price drops anytime soon. Neon X1620 writes in and asks, can we just talk everything about Starfield? I think we already talked a lot about it, and we are definitely going to. You know what we should do, Dutch? When the game comes out, we do a Starfield special episode. You know, we can give out spoilers for the story. We can share our favorite planets. We should do that, man. Like special Starfield podcast when it comes out. Robin,
I'm game to do that.
Yeah,
I'm game to do that. Create a new mini show.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin writes in. Robin THDE writes in and asks, the next gen Xbox exclusive Turok reboot. I don't think so.
Nope.
I would love Turok though to come back. So, and Sith Lord, a good friend, he's in the chat. He writes in, at the showcase, the old everything. At the showcase, they told everything will be out in about 18 months. I'm giving them 24 months. What do you think? Will everything be out in the next 18 to 24 months? No. I don't think that all the games we've seen at the showcase will be out within the next 24 months. There are certain games gonna take longer.
Fable will be holiday 25.
Probably.
Which was outside of that. I think I can see, as much as I didn't want to put a time on it yet, I can see Clockwork Orange. I can see Clockwork Orange releasing. Even I know that's not its name, but we'll go along with it. I can see that
we definitely go along. I always say Clockwork Orange. Yeah, I know.
I can see that releasing Q1 25. It just looks much further than they're saying it is. Yeah, I think it's Q1 25. I think Fable is going to be Q4 25. I think South of Midnight's probably going to be Q3 25, and there'll be something else that slots in between it. But yeah, I think everything else though will slot in with that 24 months. But I don't see Fable and South of Midnight slotting within that. I think, as we've mentioned, I think Clockwork just slides into Q1 25, but the other two will miss it. The other two will be the second half of 25.
Could be. I think also that Probably Clockwork Orange or Revolution or whatever it's called.
Clockwork Orange Revolution. It's the follow up.
Exactly, it's a sequel. Clockwork, Fable are probably the ones that are the last ones to release from the games they've shown.
I say I think South of Midnight because we haven't seen anything for that. Whereas Clockwork, we've seen the gameplay.
That's a good fair point. But then, like, We Happy Few was,
and In Exile are definitely the more experienced developers out of them.
Yes,
in Compulsion.
But again, it's like I think it's already 6 years or so in development. When was We Happy Few? Was it 2017 or 18? So it's 5 or 6 years in development. Yeah,
17.
So 5 to 6 years, something in that ballpark already. And I know the pandemic, and I know they increased the scope and the studio and everything. But I don't think if we talk end of 25, it's like 8 years plus. Sounds a little bit much to me. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we shall see. We don't know. We don't have the glass ball. But that already brings us to the end of this week's podcast, man. It has been a blast. It has been a blast.
A hot, sweaty blast.
Indeed. I'm melting away. The PC is running. Windows are closed because of the apparent storm that is incoming. They put out the storm warning here for my region. Yeah. Everyone should go inside, close the windows, and I can't see one single leaf moving on the tree in front of my window. So I don't know. It's maybe the calm before the storm, but I have the window closed and it's hot in here, dude. It's hot. But that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to say a big thank you to you, of course, for co-hosting with me the world of gaming, which is every week a blast. And I want to say a big thank you, of course, to the community. You guys are simply amazing. We do appreciate you coming to the show each and every week. We do hope you have an awesome weekend. But before we all leave, Dutch, let everyone know what you have coming up.
Yes, indeed. So, and a quick shout out to people at the beginning of the show as well that said happy birthday for us today, for yesterday.
Yes,
thank you for that.
Happy birthday again, brother.
Thank you. But yeah, again, it's down to the heat whether or not I'm going to be doing any streams this weekend. I'll be on Risk It for the Biscuits podcast on tomorrow evening / early morning Saturday, which is 1 o'clock in the morning for me. So that's 1 o'clock BST AM on Saturday. So that's 2 o'clock in the morning for Europeans. I don't know what time it is over in America. It's something like 7 PT or something like that, 7 PST. Australia, sorry. Yeah, it's Australian time, but it's 7 PST American time that it's on. So, yeah, that's the only real show I'm doing this weekend. I might stream at some point, but it really depends on what the heat's like. If it's too warm to stream, then I won't be.
Yeah.
Other than that, then you'll see me again next week for the Midweek Mix-Up podcast.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, we will definitely play some games over the weekend, and I do hope everyone is enjoying their gaming as well. Dutch, we will definitely be on Diablo, so if you see us online, just hit us up. Maybe we can do a little party. Other than that, guys, have a great week, and especially a great weekend. It's near. But for now, I want to say a big thank you again, and don't forget to game on.